I get asked questions all the time, emails, social media, comments, and so on. I thought that rather than just sending these answers back to the individuals concerned, why don't I share these answers for everybody? So I've created a brand new show called The Solutions. Now, The Solutions is especially dedicated to being able to help you to find out what you truly need to create your own success. So without further ado, wherever you are around the world, if you're looking at traveling, you're looking at branding, you're looking at reinventing yourself, you're looking at speaking, we're going to be covering all those elements of this show. Stick around. This is The Solutions. So welcome to a brand new show of Solutions. It's all about answering your questions. Now, a lot of people ask me things, and sometimes I have to do a little bit of research to work out what the answer is, and sometimes it comes to me straight away. But you're going to find out all the bits I think. Now, I love your comments. I love your thoughts. We're going out on LinkedIn. We're going out on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube as well. So whatever your thoughts are, whatever your comments, please share them because I'd love to be able to add extra value. And of course, nobody's as smart as you guys are. I just basically spend a bit researching because I used to be a BBC journalist many years ago when I didn't have any grey hair and I was really innocent and I had a lot of fun there as well. So as much as possible, I'd like to share stuff, but if you've got an answer or a comment or a contribution that you can make, just feel free to chip in and we'll share that to get the best solutions that we possibly can. So here's our very first question, and it's not a tough one, but I think it's something that everybody else is going to go through as well. So it's given to us by John from Churchill in Canada, who says, Dave, I can leave my house, but I daren't. Says, my house, my town is clean, and most people are vaccinated, but I'm scared to go out to play. How can you help? Well, first of all, I can't lead you by the hand to get out, John, but what I can say is you're not the only person feeling this. Many people right now are scared about where the world is going, what's going to happen next, about how to contribute, how to connect, because we've never been through a situation like this before. That's why it's kind of important to be able to have a new mindset that allows you to consider where you need to be and how you need to move forward. So here's a look at a couple of the mindsets that you need to consider. First of all, you've got a problem. In your case, it's about COVID-19. Not just your case, I would say that about half the population on the planet are feeling the same way. You know what's really strange about this as well? All the people who are vaccine deniers and all the people who are COVID deniers are going to snap out of this COVID worry faster than anybody else and get back to business faster. Why? Because they didn't consider it in the first place. Interesting, isn't it? So let's get back to the challenges that you have and how to deal with it. First of all, we've got a problem right in front of you. What is the problem? How can we get our head around it? And how can we make ourselves more effective? Now, the problem is incidental. It's what you do next that's so important. So the first option there is a growth mindset. In fact, the first option that most people take is a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is one where you turn around and say, right, I can't do anything about it. This is it. I am me. That is that. I can't go out. I can't connect to people. I can't reinvent my life. I can't do anything at all. I'll just take what life gives me. I'm going to trust in a higher power than me. And hopefully that likes me enough because I've been pretty good all so far. Or the wind blows in my direction or whatever. It just leaves it up to fate. Now, that's a fixed mindset. And most people kind of have that. And they're waiting for other people to come and rescue them. And I'm not going to knock any of the mindsets. I'm just going to share the different ones with you and share with you what I think is the most effective. Then you've got a growth mindset, which is I'm always going to grow. Whatever happens around me, whatever the challenges are, I'm going to make sure that I'm growing better. So I'm just going to keep moving forward, and that can do what it needs to do. The next one after that is an innovation mindset. And this is kind of where I sit. I like to think that whatever's happened, I can find a new way to be able to reinvent myself on the back of this. I can find a way to be bigger and better because everything's an opportunity. Even bad things are an opportunity because whilst everybody else is playing with their fixed mindset or they're wanting to grow but not really sure where to grow, which is nothing bad, but it's a challenge in its own way when you find that your finances are reduced, The innovation mindset people can turn around and say, you know what, this is great. Because while everyone else is going, I don't know what to do, I can work out by asking better questions what it is I need to do. And from there, I can do something really effective with it. Now, if you're intrigued as to what that actually means, then all we need to do then is have a look at a video. I'm going to share with you a video now all about the different mindsets you can have and how you can use them most effectively. I'd love your thoughts, I'd love your comments, I'd love you to share and like this. The more you do, the more the algorithm breaks in and starts sharing with other people. So this is a Solutions brand new show on Speak on Stage.
Our thoughts, feelings and behaviours continually affect each other, and it's easy to develop negative patterns where unhelpful thoughts lead to unhelpful feelings and actions. Sometimes this can become a vicious cycle. Many of us don't realise that we can influence this process and that this can improve our mental health. The best way to deal with these unhelpful thoughts is to recognise them, challenge them, and see if you can replace them. Some people call this the catch it, check it, change it approach. With practice, this can help us look at perceived problems from a different perspective. For example, you might be worried about an important task you have to do at work, convinced it will go wrong and everyone will think you're a failure. Rather than immediately accepting this thought and feeling even worse, take a moment to catch it and check it. Ask yourself whether there's good evidence for it or if there are other explanations. Try thinking about what you would say to a friend who was thinking this way. Finally, see if you can change the thought for a more positive one. Maybe, I'm prepared, I've put a lot of work in, and I'm going to do my best. Sometimes you will be able to change the thought to a positive one, but don't worry when at other times you can't. There are no right or wrong answers. It's about learning to think more flexibly and be more in control. By catching the thought, checking it, and seeing if you can change it, with practice, you can help break the negative cycle.
So there you go. I hope that answers your question. Next question. And by the way, if you want to ask me questions, you can do them in the comments here as well. I may not answer everything right now, but what I can do is certainly if it takes a little bit of preparation, I can come back to your question and maybe feature it on the next show. We do these every Thursday, by the way. Maybe go through 2, 3, 4 questions, depending on how the timing goes. Or you can go to Speak on Stage, which is just below, above me there. And there's a number of options and solutions for you, including my 5-day training course, which is absolutely free to help you position yourself as an industry icon. I go for a lot of the different things that I share in this show, but it's very intense. About 5 to 10 minutes training every day for free to get you to be able to understand how to brand yourself and so on. But I have got some solutions for you in this show. Right, let's go to our next question. And this one comes in from Eric from Bonn in Germany. And many of these people are connected to me on LinkedIn, so it's always good to have your questions there. In fact, you can send me direct questions on LinkedIn and I'll answer where I can. As always, send in your comments, your thoughts, and anything you can contribute to it. Then, even if people don't see it first time round, the show is on repeat, and so people can catch it later. Everything goes onto YouTube, so you can catch it on my channel, which is Dave Crane, and always feel free to contribute to it there as well. So, Eric said, I lost my job and work in accounts, or I used to work in an accounts firm. But he says, I don't want to be public, but I need to find a new job. And should I be posting? Should I be posting? Should I be creating a brand myself? Great question. It's a really difficult one, especially if, Eric, if you're an accountant, your behavioral style is probably one that doesn't lend itself easily to wanting to be speaking on a stage or talking in public or doing any of those kind of things. And I understand completely where you're coming from with this because it is a real challenge, especially if you just don't feel natural talking like this. So here's what I'd say is the first thing I would dedicate to anybody who's got a real worry about where we go with basically speaking, when it comes around to creating your brand. You really need to consider that this is a different world. You're now connected to 7+ billion people around the world. So unless you have a job where you can walk in and be invisible and you're happy to take that job, well, there will be, if you're a very good accountant, which I'm sure you are, there'll be more opportunities for you to go ahead and do that. But what you could consider, depending on your opportunity to get a job, and even as a side hustle, excuse me, here we go, working live. We'll cut that out of the edit. Excuse me. So even when you're working live, a couple of the challenges include having your brand out there so you could create a side hustle. So people could then contact you directly. You could do a work on the side. And if you ever find yourself in a position where you lose your job again in the future, you've still got income coming in through this separate brand that you've managed to create. You might even find it's the time to start your own business, but you might want to have a number of different clients, one that you work with semi-permanently, who then gives you your full-time wage. The world's changed considerably from the way it used to be, but I also understand the fear of branding and getting yourself out there. We'll be talking in a few moments about micro-influencers and how I think that every single person has the opportunity to create an income. And they don't have to be huge, they don't have to be massive. You just have to have a small group of people who buy into who they are and what they do and create a relationship with them. So let's look at what this actually means and just share with you how to effectively build your brand. You can see the three circles here. And they all have a different relationship with you. First of all, the brand in the center is you. But how do you build that? Well, the green circle is what you want people to think of you. That's what you create your postings and your social media about. And we will do a question on social media. I've got loads of questions about social media, but we'll do more about the actual posting content on LinkedIn and other stuff in a future episode. But if you want to put your comments here, you're very welcome to. So the green circle there is what you want people to think of you. The red circle is what you don't want people to think of you. So you want to do more of the stuff that you want people to remember you for and do less of the stuff that's embarrassing or whatever. It's amazing how many really influential celebrities end up doing one thing wrong and that's what they're seen for forever. Like, for instance, Johnny Depp goes through a court case and instantly he's being labeled a certain way, regardless of the truth or the untruth or the challenges to that. His whole generation, his whole lifetime body of work gets put to one side because his brand has changed considerably through what he's just been experiencing and the rest of the world has been watching. And so the yellow circle there is really about what they currently think of you. Doesn't matter what they think of you in the past, because, I mean, like I mentioned with Johnny Depp, there's a guy who many people think is one of the best actors of his generation. Certainly one of the most versatile and quirky of his generation, I'll give you that at least. But his brand has really challenged, and there's lots of people who are actors who did really well, but then suddenly fall out of favor with Hollywood or Bollywood or Mollywood, or depending where it is that they're actually doing their media. And so what you have to think about is how it all comes together. Get rid of the bad stuff, boost the good stuff, and also make sure that you are doing it on an ongoing basis. So when you're creating your brand and you're posting, it means that you want people to find what you want them to find about you. You want them to find less about stuff that you don't talk about, which is relatively easy. As an accountant, you probably don't talk about anything. But you have to then calculate what it is that people are going to see you for. And that means creating your own brand. Now I'm going to share a video now all about the power and the growth of micro-influencers. That's not the huge celebrity types. It's the ones that I believe everybody can be. When you create a small group of people, a tribe, a following, or an interest group, or even a meetup group around what it is that you do. And those people can contribute and grow who you are, and you can also get sponsorship on the back of that. I'd love to know your thoughts, and send your questions and keep bringing your comments in. I always love to find them as well. And let's watch a video now all about micro-influencers on the solutions on the speaking stage.
The thing about micro-influencers is that they're a little bit more relatable. You feel like you can talk to them. It's more of like your friends and family type of following. It's someone with just a smaller, more intimate type of following.
Hey guys, it's Natasha from Forbes, and we've made it to the last episode of this season of The Business of Influence. This episode, we'll be focusing on micro-influencers. It's a term that's thrown around a lot, but what does it actually mean, and is this the future of social media influencers?
A micro-influencer, I would assume that's like a small YouTuber or Instagram celebrity.
Yeah, it's someone that has like not millions of followers, but say 10,000, and they influence a small group that's connected to them.
I know a lot of people follow like beauty related blogs. If it's fashion related, I'm totally in. Like if it's urban streetwear, count me in. I think a lot of people who have less followers are more excited about people contacting them for things.
I actually had no idea what a micro influencer was until I got an email saying that I was a top 30 micro influencer. I believe that everyone can be an influencer, but I feel like a lot of people don't understand the work behind it, and it's not just snapping pictures of your food, it's all about your aesthetic and your niche and what you really want to portray on social media.
I got into the influencer space kind of on accident. I've always had a love for photography. When I was on Instagram, I was pregnant. I ended up having my daughter shortly after, and I started sharing photos of her on Instagram. And I noticed that there was this huge community of other moms sharing photos of their kids as well, but also, creating captions that I could relate to. Micro-influencer is sort of like a new buzzword. It's anybody from 5,000 followers on a social media platform to 100,000. I definitely consider myself a micro-influencer.
I started blogging about 7 to 8 years ago, and it came out of a need to really market my own products and services. I believe micro-influencers receive more engagement because they come off as more relatable. Sometimes when you have a massive following, though there is nothing wrong with that, your followers can feel like they can't really be in touch with you. When you have a smaller following, more of a niche type of market, people feel like they can relate to you, that you'll reach out to them, and that you can be more of a connected type of community.
If you know you want to be an influencer and you're just starting out, I would say it's always better to focus on something. That way people really know when they start following you what you stand for, what your beliefs are, what you like, what you don't like. If you're all over the place, it becomes very hard to follow. However, you do want to be authentic to yourself.
I think that's one thing that sets micro-influencers apart from somebody that has 1 million followers, is that I do read all of my messages. I respond the best that I can to everyone. If I'm promoting a product, let's say it's a height chair, and somebody reaches out to me like, hey, do you really like that height chair? I will give them an honest review. If I like it, what I don't like about it. And I feel like if you have an influencer that's, has 1 million followers, they're less likely to respond or have that time to respond.
Recently, I've been partnering up with Adidas and Finish Line. You'll see me on various emails for Finish Line, just for Adidas though. I do get the first of everything that Finish Line gets from Adidas. I get to try it out. I do my thing in front of the camera, and then I post it, and then they share it as well on their social channels.
We are doing so many micro-influencer campaigns for the brands that we work with because we are seeing incredible results, and brands are realizing that they don't have to pay influencers $10,000 to do one post. They can do a campaign with 50 micro-influencers for the same price and now have enough content for their feed for the next few months and be able to reach even more people. And when you're working with these micro-influencers, they have this authentic connection to their followers, and there's so much more trust there. Working with micro-influencers is becoming more and more important for brands, and we're recommending it every single day.
Well, guys, that's it for this season. Hope you enjoyed watching, and let us know where you think the future of social media influencers is headed.
So there we go. That's all about micro-influencers, and that could be you. Welcome to The Solutions. My name is Dave Crane, and it's always a pleasure to spend quality time with you here. Want to know your thoughts and your feelings and your comments, and if you've got any additions that you can give. We were just talking there about micro-influencers and the importance of creating your branding. And it's an ongoing thing, and it can be a big challenge to do. But I remember one of my clients, for instance, a very well-known ice cream manufacturer. Yes, a very expensive one, but they also make other foods as well, possibly coffee. They had a launch of their brand new stuff, and rather than spend a fortune on this incredible launch, what they did was just invite along some of the big fans of their stuff, people who were related to that, people who were influencers but loved their ice cream, and they brought them all in together. And they had a checklist as they all walked in, and everybody was allowed to eat the ice cream, talk about it, make a big deal. They generated somewhere in the region of about $2 to $3 million worth of paid advertising for the cost of some ice cream. Now, this is not necessarily aimed at event managers or agencies, but if you're watching this and you get some ideas, then that's great as well. It's actually aimed, for instance, at the individual. So in that case, we're talking about Eric, whose question earlier was, how do I create my brand? How do I make sure that people see me and so on? Well, it might be the fact you're an accountant and there's accounting software that needs to have a champion, or things related to accounts. If you can create a brand around you and people are fascinated because you really know your accounts really well, there's no reason why these people can't reach out and either give you lots of free stuff or use you on their advertising or have events where you're able to be a keynote speaker. I know it's not in your natural skill sets, but the thing is, if you can get out there and do it and other people can't, then you are their poster child. So that's kind of worth considering. Right, next up on the solutions, by the way, our next question is this one. And it's all about public speaking. Surprise, surprise. This is from Javin. And Javin is saying basically, and he's in Germany as well, I haven't had a gig for 14 months and I've gone back to selling furniture. Wow. Were you talking about furniture before? Were you a furniture salesman before? Or is that part of your brand? I don't know. He says, has the bubble burst for good relating to public speaking? Yes and no. I think it's a really good question. Things have changed dramatically about speaking, Jevon. And I think that one of the things about it is if you haven't changed with it, then you're going to find a real challenge. One of the things about what I do here with Speak on Stage is this was created out of the whole world of how we deal with moving forward with the challenges of no gigs. Like every other speaker or entertainer or person involved in the events business, what happened was as soon as we went into lockdown, I'm an expert at talking to people who travel around the world doing keynote speeches or working at big events or hosting rooms full of people to teach them how to do public speaking. But then nothing happened. And like everybody else, you've still got to make an income. I see you going back to selling furniture. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I would suggest is you find a way to broadcast like this. The gigs have changed dramatically. So when we're talking about gigs, we're talking about the way that things have altered. So for instance, this is a hybrid gig. A hybrid gig. I don't know how easily you can see me. Let's just make me mini me there at the side. You can see I was covering me on stage. That's a room that will take not only about 150 people. In this case, it's only taking what? That space would have social distancing, about 2 meters in between everybody. So we could take about 30, 40 people maximum in that room. Now that's kind of shocking because it doesn't make it easy or cost effective. But when you consider how many people could be paying for tickets at a much cheaper rate and watching the whole process online, people have an interest in it, but maybe couldn't actually get there from anywhere around the world, then what that means is that you're in a better position to be able to address and talk to people if you can find a solution for the people who are willing to pay for it. So what does that mean? Well, as you have another look at that particular event, what I want to do now is share with you what the setup was like for that event. So I'm at Gulf Food, I'm on stage, I'm talking to chefs, I've got about 30, 40 chefs to talk to over about 4 or 5 days. But let's have a look what it actually seems like from the outside. I love your thoughts, I love your comments. This is broadcast now across LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. This is The Solutions. Always loving your thoughts and comments and Speak on Stage. So now let's have a look at Gulf Food. Hi, I'm Dave Crane. Welcome to Dubai and welcome to Gulf Food, the biggest annual food festival on the planet. I'm going to be hosting here in Chef Talks and talking to some of the best known chefs in the world, from right across kitchens and TV shows. People like Heather Mills have got great food types that are on the market, and I'm going to show you what it looks like to have a huge event during social distancing. Come with me. So as we're walking through, the first thing you're going to see is our lovely security guard. He's in charge of making sure that everybody's wearing a mask. And yes, I have got mine, but I've taken it off, otherwise all I'll say to is and you won't be able to hear what I'm saying. So as we come into the room, see exactly how it's set up. It's kind of nice. We've got a couple of different options here. We've got the chef's lounges, which are the areas where we're going to be having the chefs chatting and being interviewed by various people. And as we come in here, we see the main room. Now what we're going to be doing is streaming it live onto the internet across lots of different places and different platforms as well. And I'm going to be on that stage down the bottom down there. So as you can see, as we walk towards it, you can see exactly what it's going to look like when it gets put together. And the challenge is, it's really hard to build up an atmosphere when you've got social distancing. So you've got to make sure that everything you do is safe, that everything you do resonates with people, but also that round of applause, that standing ovation that you might be used to doing a normal gig, they don't exist anymore. But people do appreciate it, and they do clap, and they do feel privileged to be in here. So typically, if you just have a quick look around, you can have a look at what the space is like. So you can see exactly there, we've got the camera guys just getting set up. It's still early, we haven't allowed people to come in yet. We've already had the shake go around and open the event properly. And so there's a microphone that people are going to be using to ask questions, a good distance from the stage. But every single seat here is 2 meters apart deliberately for the privilege of making sure that everyone's safe, because that's a priority in Dubai, to make sure that we have more future events so everyone knows that they can come down here and be in a safe space. So come and see everything the way I see it. So when I'm going to be on stage, I'm going to be interviewing various chefs and various dignitaries. We've got our 2 meters on there, up 2 meters, and this is how things would be for me. So if you come up here, this is the view that I get. I have a monitor down there which is going to show me all the different slides and things that are coming up, and also let me know how long we've got on the timer. As you look out, you can see what it's going to look like all the different seats. Just over here, we've got the guys in charge of sound and light. They're the guys that make sure that I look good and that I sound good. And you never fall out with them because they can make you sound ridiculous and switch off stuff sometimes when you least want it to. And that's what it's like. We're going to be going live in about 5-10 minutes. The chefs are arriving. We've already got them introduced. I already know the kind of questions I'm going to be asking them. Everything from different types of foods, from Japanese cooking to doing shows across Australia, to bringing out factory, actually lab processed meats that don't come from animals. They're done in a lab. All these things will be covered over the next couple of days. And I'll be sharing a lot of it with you online. So make sure if you can, come down to it. If not, catch all the stuff online, and I'll share with you some of the greatest stuff from the best chefs around the world down here at Gulf Food, and you can catch me here at Chef Talks. See you soon. So there you go, you can see exactly what this set looks like from actually having been there. Now, I've got a number of different events coming up in the next week or so, because in Dubai we've gone back into live events with social distancing and wearing masks and so on, but the world is coming back to where it was before. The challenge is, and that was a question from Javen earlier, where do you fit yourself into all that? Well, you need to be on radars. The reason I started doing Speak on Stage and the Toilet Paper Diaries, and now I've got 4 shows that I do weekly, is because I want to make sure that I'm prominent. I want to make sure that I connect with people. But more than anything, I want to make sure that I'm delivering solutions to help people as well. The key thing to it is you need to be useful for people. People need to be able to feel that everything that you do is helping them. If they feel that, especially now during the lockdown challenges that are going around the world, then they remember who helped them. And that's why you need to be able to do that. As a speaker, your job is to deliver solutions. As a speaker, your job is really about making people able to fast track and feel better towards an end result. That's what you are. Asking that question, the most important question of all, is what's in it for me on their behalf? What's in it for them? So as a speaker, that's what you really need to be considering. So with that in mind, what I'd like to suggest for anybody who wants to ask me a question for the next episode of the solutions, feel free to email me at info@davecraneglobal.com. That's info@davecraneglobal.com. And I'll be popping up every Thursday with a load of different answers for you, and hopefully getting your thoughts, your comments, and so on. If you've got comments that you're thinking, Dave, I'd really like to say that, but I don't really want you to read my name out, or you want to talk to me directly, then go back to that email, which we had there, which is info@davecraneglobal.com, and I'll contact you and talk to you directly as well. As I mentioned before, we also have the ability for you to come along and do my 5-day mentoring program, and that's for free. Meanwhile, it's been a pleasure having you here with me. I hope this is a really interesting show for you. It's a new one. We're going to be talking in our next episode all about sizzle reels, and we've got questions coming up about how to start your own TV show. That's going to be interesting. And also how to make more money by being more influential outside in the world. If you've got a question you want to add to that, then contact me and let me know. I'd love to spend that time with you, going through and sharing with you a ton of different ideas. So meanwhile, it's been a pleasure having you with me. Look after yourself. Check out all the other shows that go on this week. So we start off with Speak on Stage, then I've got Industry Icons, when I talk to really influential people in the industry. Then we've got Toilet Paper Diaries, myself and Ernesto with Verdugo. That goes out on a Wednesday night and floats around because we're in the internet, so it could be any time. It could be Wednesday, it could be Saturday, it could be morning, it could be evening, it could be anywhere in the world. And this is the ending of my very first episode of The Solutions. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to catching you on the next episode of The Solutions as well. Take care.